for Robyn that was significant, and in my mind, I wanted to elevate all my relationships to that point. And that's what I felt like I was.
The air inside the courthouse was heavy, almost suffocating, like it hadn't been touched for weeks. The clock above the doors ticked louder than usual, echoing through the silence, while even the bailiff looked puzzled at being called in so early. It was just past 9 a.m., yet something felt disturbingly off. Then Meri Brown walked through the front doors. Her head hung low, her usual layered jewelry gone, her eyes stripped of their sparkle. She wore a long black coat that swallowed, her frame, and in her right hand, a torn manila folder bent under the tightness of her grip. She quietly sat on the left bench, fingers laced together, her gaze flickering again and again toward the door. 40 minutes early, and without Kody. That alone was strange enough. But the moment Meri entered, Robyn's entire body stiffened. Her jaw tightened, her face paled, and yet Meri didn't so much as glance in her direction. The judge slipped into the room without ceremony, a thin woman with glasses balanced at the edge of her nose and an expression carved by years of hearing more lies than truths. She skimmed the emergency docket, then looked straight at Meri. "You're seeking an emergency protective order. On what grounds, ma'am?" Meri stood calmly, her voice steady and almost unnervingly firm. "She came to my home. I asked her to leave. She refused and threatened me." Robyn's head snapped toward the bench. "That's not true," she blurted, but the judge silenced her with a hand. "You'll have your chance." The clerk's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Ready?" While the entire room seemed to stop breathing, the judge leaned forward. "Do you have any evidence?" Without a word, Meri handed the battered folder to her attorney. He nodded, walked it to the bench, and placed it carefully down. Inside were screenshots, an audio recording, and a grainy, but time-stamped and geotagged 2-minute home security video. Enough to change whispers of family tension into a courtroom war. Robyn shifted uneasily, her face paling even more. "She's twisting this, it's out of context. I only wanted to talk." But the judge had already instructed the clerk to mark the folder as Exhibit A. That's when the story truly began. 2 nights earlier, Meri had been vlogging privately in her living room, creating personal video diaries never intended for the public eye, her way of releasing years of silence. She had just begun recording, speaking about the possibility of selling her bed and breakfast, when a sharp, hurried knock interrupted her. Not the doorbell, a knock. It was 10:32 p.m. and uninvited visits had become a thing of the past. She froze, peered through the window, and her stomach dropped. Robyn stood outside in a hoodie, clutching something to her chest, her face twisted with panic. Meri cracked the window, refusing to open the door. "Robyn, what are you doing here?" Robyn's voice trembled. "Please, I just need 5 minutes. I found something about Kody, about everything. Please, you have to listen." Meri didn't move. "Now isn't the time." Robyn looked around frantically. "It has to be. Now, I can't go home with this." She held up a folder, the same one Meri clutched now in court. But Meri wasn't certain what it was. Truth or a trap? She stayed silent. Tears spilled down Robyn's face. "Christine won't even respond to me. You're the only one left who might believe me." Quietly, without looking, Meri tapped record on her phone. That decision may have saved her. Robyn's words tumbled out. "I found financial documents in the storage shed, hidden accounts. He's concealing money from all of us. If I speak, I don't know what he'll do." Meri's voice remained cold even. "Then go to the police." Robyn's panic shifted instantly to steel. "No, not them. We can fix this together. We can force him to tell the truth." Meri's tone sharpened. "You need to leave, Robyn." Robyn's face hardened. "So you're like the rest of them, turning your back on me?" She leaned closer, her voice a chilling threat. "If this gets out the wrong way, Meri, it won't just ruin him, it'll ruin you too." Meri slammed the deadbolt shut. Back in the courtroom, Meri's attorney pressed play on the recording. Robyn's voice filled the chamber, pleading, pacing, shifting into veiled threats. The judge sat still, expression unreadable. "Was anyone else present?" she asked. "No," Meri replied. But I texted Christine right after, told her everything. The judge nodded. I'll accept her written statement. But Robyn, do you deny being at Meri's house that night? Robyn's voice cracked. No, I was there, but it wasn't like that. I was scared. I was trying to protect her. From what? The judge asked. Robyn's eyes darted to the gallery. For the first time, she locked onto Christine, sitting stiffly in the back row. That folder, Robyn stammered, wasn't for court. The judge frowned. Then what was it for? Robyn went silent. Sometimes silence speaks louder than confessions. Christine's phone records later revealed a message from Meri at 10:44 p.m. She's here. Won't leave. Says it's about Kody. Christine never replied. She simply turned her phone over, face down. Robyn's late-night intrusions weren't new, but this time, something felt different. What was supposed to be a quick hearing had spiraled into something much larger. Robyn's attorney begged for a delay, but the judge denied it. Meri's lawyer demanded a full court order on the storage unit shared between Robyn and Kody, and the judge granted it. Suddenly, this wasn't just about threats. It was about secrets buried far deeper. The clerk leaned back, drafting subpoenas, while tension climbed to a breaking point. Then Robyn rose, her voice shaking but laced with determination. I want to speak, not as a defendant, as a mother. The judge allowed it. Robyn's words cracked, then steadied with steel. I didn't go there to harm her. I went because I was desperate. Kody made me sign papers I didn't understand. If this comes out, he'll pin it all on me. But I wasn't. The only one who knew. The gallery turned to Meri, but Meri never looked at Robyn. She looked only at the judge. Then, for the first time that morning, she spoke with fire. Then you won't mind if we open the second envelope. The entire room froze. Robyn's face drained. What second envelope? From her coat pocket, Meri produced a thicker sealed folder. The judge raised an eyebrow. And what is this? Meri's voice was steady, unflinching. Proof that this didn't just happen once? That it's been going on far longer than anyone realizes? Robyn's mouth opened, but no sound followed. The judge slammed the gavel. Recess. And that was the exact moment the courtroom doors opened and a black SUV pulled up outside. From it stepped Kody Brown, unaware that the battlefield had already been drawn, and his name was at the very center.
She's hanging on, and I want her to continue to, but I feel selfish that this whole experience of being...
She forwarded the file first to her attorney, then to her own email, and finally, after hesitation, to Christine. 17 minutes later, Christine responded with only 2 words. She's spiraling. Meri typed back quickly, "What's in the folder, Christine?" The reply came, "I don't know. But if she's willing to show up like that, it's huge." Meri didn't ask again. She didn't want to know. Sometimes the real fear isn't the contents of the folder. It's the fact someone would risk everything to keep it closed. That night, Meri couldn't sleep. She sat in her dark kitchen, the lights off, listening to the wind slap against the windows. At 1:42 a.m., the motion light in her backyard flicked on. She checked her phone. No alert from her security app. Opening the live feed, she found only a black screen. Someone had tampered with the system. Heart pounding, she grabbed a flashlight, in one hand and a kitchen knife in the other, creeping to the back door. Nothing outside, but she knew. The cameras were hacked. She called the police not out of panic, but with grim determination. There was someone near my property last night. I have partial video. I'd like to file a report. And, she added firmly, I'm also filing for a temporary restraining order. I have grounds. The paperwork was in by morning, and now here they were. The judge returned from recess, folders still sealed on the desk. Robyn sat pale, silent, trembling. Meri remained steady. The quiet broke when the courtroom doors creaked open. Kody Brown entered alone. No lawyer, no tie. Just a hollow stare carved into his face. A man suddenly forced to confront every ghost he had created. The judge's brow furrowed. You are? Kody Brown. I was requested to appear. Meri didn't even turn her head. Robyn whispered softly, "He came for me." But no one in that room knew who he was really there for, or why. The judge struck her gavel, sharp and deliberate, restoring order. Kody sat on the far right of the gallery, hands clasped, expression blank. Not furious, not defensive, just void. Robyn folded her arms around herself, her usual gentle demeanor replaced with a visible panic. Her attorney whispered frantically, in her ear, but she didn't hear a word. Meri's eyes stayed locked on the larger envelope sitting untouched before her. The judge nodded toward her. "We've reviewed the preliminary evidence submitted by Miss Brown. At this time, we'll allow the respondent an opportunity to explain her actions. Miss Robyn Brown, please approach the stand." For a moment, Robyn didn't move. Then slowly, she rose. Her heels echoed sharply against the polished floor as she walked like a woman carrying bricks on her back. She avoided every eye in the room, Meri's, Kody's, even the judge's, keeping her gaze fixed straight ahead. "State your name for the record." "Robyn Alice Brown." "Do you know why you're here today?" "Yes." "And do you admit you visited Meri Brown's home that night?" Her voice was barely audible. "Yes." "Why?" Robyn swallowed hard. "I wasn't there to fight. I wasn't there to intimidate her. I went because I didn't know what else to do." The judge leaned forward. "And what were you trying to do, Miss Brown?" Her lip trembled. "I was trying to stop everything from getting out of control. But instead, it became worse than I ever imagined." Meri finally lifted her eyes. Her gaze was steady, calm, no hate, no fear, just years of history staring forward. Robyn's attorney cut in. "Your Honor, my client requests to make a personal statement regarding her state of mind." The judge paused, then nodded. Robyn inhaled deeply, eyes closed, and began. "I've been accused of manipulation, deceit, destroying the family. And maybe some of that is true. I didn't join this family like the others. I came with baggage, expectations, but I didn't cause the fracture. I just watched it happen. And Kody..." Her voice faltered. "Kody changed after the cameras, after the fame. He began doing things behind closed doors. Quiet things, money things. He handed me papers and told me to sign, told me not to worry. I never read them." The judge's brow arched. "You're claiming coercion?" Robyn shook her head weakly. "I'm saying I was blind. Willingly blind." She turned toward Kody now, her voice cracking. "I wanted to be the loyal one, the silent one. Because every time I questioned him, he punished me with silence." Kody didn't blink. In the gallery, Christine and Janelle exchanged a knowing look. Meri leaned forward slightly, recognizing that this wasn't a defense. It was a confession. Robyn continued, her breath uneven. "The folder I carried that night, I found it by accident. In our storage unit, inside a box labeled property tax records. But inside were documents Kody told me he had destroyed years ago. Bank transfers, withdrawals, business papers with Meri and Christine's names forged. I panicked. I thought if I took them to Meri, we could handle it privately. But when she rejected me, something in me snapped." The judge motioned to the bailiff. "Bring it here." Meri's attorney slid the thick second envelope across the table. The judge opened it slowly, eyes narrowing. Inside, bank slips, forged signatures, and a smaller envelope marked in bold, "Robyn, do not show." She read it silently and her face stiffened. Christine rose to her feet. "Your Honor, may I approach?" The room stirred. The judge nodded. Christine stepped forward, eyes fixed on the handwriting. "That's mine," she said firmly. The judge looked up. "Do you know anything about this?" Christine shook her head, glaring. "No, but if it's what I think it is." She let the sentence trail into the silence. The judge opened the inner envelope. Inside lay a photocopy of a check with Christine's signature, dated 5 years prior, made out to a company Kody had sworn he had no ties to. A sticky note was attached. "Robyn, burn this if she ever finds out." Christine gasped, her voice breaking. "That's a check I wrote when we refinanced the house. He told me it was for renovations." The judge's voice cut sharp. Would you like to press charges? Christine hesitated only a moment. If this is what it looks like, yes. Finally, Kody spoke, his voice cold. None of that proves anything. It's taken out of context. The judge snapped toward him. You will remain silent until you're called, Mr. Brown. But silence was never Kody's strength. Robyn bowed her head, whispering, I didn't want this. I didn't want to be here. But when I realized he planned to use me as the scapegoat, I panicked. The judge asked quietly, why didn't you report it sooner? Robyn's voice softened. Because he told me no one would believe me, that everyone already despised me, that I was the villain. And maybe he was right. I became the villain to survive. For a fleeting second, Meri looked at her, remembering the woman who once begged for peace in her kitchen. But that woman was gone. In her place stood someone broken. Christine returned to her seat as the judge sifted through the evidence, stone-faced. We'll take a 30-minute recess, she finally said. In the meantime, this evidence is referred to the Financial Investigation Unit. When we return, this hearing may expand far beyond a protective order. The gavel cracked like a gunshot. The hallway outside erupted into chaos. Cameras flashed, reporters swarmed. Kody slipped out swiftly, avoiding every microphone. Robyn called after him, Kody, wait! He never turned back. Christine stood in the far corner, arms crossed, Janelle beside her, silent. Meri walked out last, saying nothing, because she didn't have to. Robyn's testimony wasn't emotional. It was incriminating, and the judge now had more than enough to escalate. As the courtroom buzzed, Robyn's phone vibrated. A new text appeared. You weren't supposed to bring that folder. No name, just those words. Her hands shook as she glanced toward the doors where Kody had disappeared. The chill inside the courthouse wasn't from the air conditioning. It was from what had just been unleashed. Meri was called next. Rising calmly, she approached the stand. For the first time, she smiled. Not mockingly, not cruelly, but with the serenity of someone finally unburdened. The room looked on in confusion. Even Christine leaned forward, puzzled. The clerk asked her to raise her hand. Do you swear to tell the truth? I do. She sat, her purse across her lap. The judge spoke softly. Miss Brown, you've already submitted 2 folders, one documenting the incident at your home and one filled with financial evidence. Do you have anything else? Meri nodded slightly, her hand reaching into her purse. I do, and this time it isn't paper. She pulled out her phone, opened an app, and tapped on a file labeled Sunday_night_recording_1. Without explanation, she handed the device to the bailiff. The judge inserted an earpiece, listened for only seconds, then froze. At 30 seconds, she pulled the earpiece out. Miss Brown, do you have authority to submit this? Yes, Your Honor, I recorded it myself. The judge nodded gravely. Play it. Kody's voice erupted through the speakers, cold, furious, dripping with contempt. If she doesn't shut up about the books, I'll bury her in paperwork. Make her look like the fraud dot. And if she ever shows that folder to anyone, especially Christine, I'll burn this whole thing down. Gasps filled the chamber. Robyn re-entered just in time to hear it. Her expression confirmed the truth. She recognized that recording. She had been there. The judge leaned in. Who was he talking about, Miss Brown? Meri's eyes never wavered. Me. Did you believe you were in danger? Not physically, Meri replied, but emotionally, legally, psychologically, yes. He knew how to terrify us without ever laying a hand. He's been doing it for years. The judge asked, what did he mean by the books? Meri answered, our tax returns, years of falsified filings, some of them with my name forged, some even with Robyn's signature, though I don't believe she knew what she was signing. Robyn's breath hitched audibly. Meri's voice softened. I never wanted to bring this to court. I wanted peace, not chaos. But when Robyn showed Up that night with that folder, I realized we were all sitting on fire, pretending we weren't burning. The judge leaned closer. Would you like to give a full statement before I decide on the restraining order? Meri inhaled deeply. Yes, I've known Kody since I was 19. I was his first wife, his trial run. I watched him bring in Janelle, then Christine, then Robyn. I watched him divide time, money, and loyalty until there was nothing left for anyone. I defended Robyn when the others turned away. I stayed silent when I should have run. I had faith in the family, in him, and he exploited it. She paused, and in that pause, decades of silence roared louder than her words. The show was supposed to tell our story. Instead, it told his. He became the star, the brand. We became props. He built businesses, accounts, LLCs in our names, all while dismissing our questions. You don't understand business, he'd say. Or, just trust me. And I did. But now, here I sit, filing a restraining order against a woman who was just another pawn, because the real villain wasn't Robyn. It was the silence he weaponized between us. The entire courtroom sat frozen. Robyn wept quietly. Christine lowered her head. The clerk's fingers stopped typing. The judge asked, "Why now, Miss Brown?" Meri answered with conviction. Because when Robyn appeared on my doorstep afraid, clutching that folder, I understood. She wasn't just hiding secrets, she was drowning in them. And she wanted to drag me under, too. But I refused. Sometimes a woman only finds her voice when she decides never to stay silent again. The judge tapped her pen once. "I've heard enough." Robyn gasped. "Your Honor, please." But the judge silenced her. "You'll have your chance later. For now, I'm ruling." She lifted the paperwork. As of today, I am issuing a temporary restraining order in favor of Meri Brown against Robyn Brown, pending further investigation. Additionally, this matter is being referred to the District Attorney's Office for potential charges of financial fraud, falsified tax records, and identity abuse. The gallery erupted with gasps and murmurs. Kody was gone. Christine smiled, faintly for the first time. Robyn collapsed into her chair, pale and trembling. Meri only nodded once. The judge leaned forward, her voice low but firm. "And one more thing, Miss Brown." He asked about a third folder, a sealed one, and Meri actually looked surprised. Then, slowly, she drew one last envelope from her purse. It wasn't paper or manila, it was black, sealed in plastic and labeled in stark print. "Do not open unless he lies." The judge didn't call him. Kody volunteered. He surged to the front as if stepping into a spotlight, his attorney whispering warnings he brushed away. "I must be heard. This has gone far enough." The judge's gaze was tired. "Mr. Brown, you are not a named defendant in this hearing. Are you requesting to make a voluntary statement under oath?" He straightened his collar. "I am." "Then take the stand." He moved with the swagger of a man who had told the same tale 1,000 times and cast himself as the hero. There was no applause today. He swore in, lifted his chin, and began. He said the family had endured more than most, had opened their doors to cameras and producers who cut for drama. He said he had tried to lead, that he wasn't perfect, that he'd made mistakes, and said things he regretted. But this spectacle, was vengeance, not justice. His voice thinned but held steady. Meri was angry he moved on. Christine was bitter he didn't chase her. Janelle was never loyal. Robyn was the scapegoat of storms the others created. He faced the bench. He didn't forge or threaten. He held a broken family together while others walked away. The judge said nothing. Christine muttered. Meri didn't blink. Kody pressed on. Documents out of context, folders waved like props, and a sudden sisterhood of women who hadn't spoken, for months arriving united. "You think that's coincidence?" he said, leaning in. The judge cut him off. He was under oath. Did he tell Robyn to burn financial records? I don't recall ever saying that. Did he fake signatures? I didn't fake anything. If signatures exist, I was told it was fine. By whom? He froze. His attorney stood, advising silence on anything self-incriminating. The judge noted it. The harm was done. Robyn's eyes widened. Meri arched a brow. Christine's pen flew. Kody tried to recover. He never threatened anyone. The recording was venting, the pressure of leadership. The judge narrowed her eyes. So you acknowledge the voice is yours? He hesitated, nodded. Yes. Enter into the record, witness confirms voice identification. His jaw tightened. He glared at Meri, then Robyn. You needed a villain. You chose me. It wasn't a defense anymore. It was a live unraveling. Christine stood. Your Honor. Kody slapped his palm on the rail. Of course she wants to speak. They've circled me like wolves. The gavel cracked. He ranted at the room, how they wept on cue, played victim while he carried the load. He turned to Robyn. I defended you when no one else would. This is how you repay me? Robyn didn't answer. She was staring at the black envelope on the bench. The one marked, do not open unless he lies. And now, he had. Meri rose. Your Honor, permission to unseal the last folder. The judge looked at Kody. You just said you never forged anything. He swallowed. I said I don't remember. Those are not the same. She broke the seal. Inside, a photocopy of a notarized lease bearing Christine's signature, dated 3 months after she'd moved out. Christine gasped. That's not mine. I wasn't even in the state. The judge lifted the page. Initials present, witness signature Robyn Brown, owner Kody Brown. Robyn stood, shaking. I was told it was for taxes. I didn't know it was forged. Christine trembled. That form kept me legally tied to property I'd already relinquished. You used it to claim me on taxes. That's fraud. Kody's mouth worked but made no sound. Paper trails don't need explanations. They shout over men. The judge set the folder down. We're done for today. This hearing resumes in 24 hours with state investigators present. She eyed Kody. Arrive with actual counsel. Then Robyn. You may wish to do the same. Gavel. Adjourned. Kody stormed out. Christine wept softly. Janelle folded Meri into a hug. Robyn didn't move, as if blinking would trigger an avalanche. Outside, flashes popped. Inside, the judge sat alone and opened a final, unmarked document slid in that morning. No postmark, no stamp. Smudged ink, no name on the envelope, but the signature read, Leon Brown. She read it twice. The case, already unbearable, shifted. More intimate, more raw. The next morning, the clerk read the witness list. Gasps rose. Leon Brown. Meri's hand flew to her chest. Christine's mouth fell open. Kody froze. Robyn rushed in, frantic. Leon entered simply dressed, not to impress, only to reveal. I wasn't subpoenaed, they said evenly. I volunteered. They placed a creased paper on the bench. My statement. I'll read it myself. The room stilled. My name is Leon Brown. I am the child of Meri and Kody Brown. I'm here because the restraining orders, the forged signatures, the financial threats, everything, has one root no one is naming. Control masquerading as faith, as patriarchy, as family. They described a childhood under leadership, obedience rewarded, dissent punished. How Meri was penalized for speaking. Christine smiled through neglect. Janelle held broken pieces and called it fine. Silence was expected and enforced. Until now. Meri sat numb. Kody looked gutted. Robyn couldn't meet Leon's eyes. Christine cried. Leon continued. Months earlier, they'd found a trust form with their name on it, one they had never signed, and next to it, Robyn's. Leon confronted her. She said it was just forms, just technicalities. But that form claimed Leon as a dependent long after they were on their own, and long after contact with Kody had ended. Leon handed over a copy,